I am teaching in a chemistry classroom, and so the first thing you probably need to know is a little bit about who I am. It's not terribly relevant, but I started life as a research biochemist, and I spent many, many years working at Northwestern University Medical School in cardiac pharmacology. Why the heck did I become a teacher 10 years ago? Mostly because my kids had dreadful science teachers. And by the time they'd had a couple of years of science, they were pretty sure science sucked. And given what they were learning, I kind of agreed with them. So I basically said, I can do that, and I can do it and enjoy it, which is the piece I didn't see their teachers enjoying it. Most of their teachers had been recruited as science teachers. So that's how I came to be a science teacher. I do teach at Thornton High School, which is a very high English language learner. I realize I'm throwing a lot of vocabulary at. Very low socioeconomic group. We are a Title I school for the people that know what that means. It means we are at 78% free and reduced lunch. We are at 58% non-English speakers in the first or second level. Okay, so it's an interesting and challenging population, especially when you realize that I also teach in the International Baccalaureate program. And so when my kids leave my room, they have a year and a half of college chemistry. They're through their freshman chemistry and their first semester of organic. So I kind of get both ends. They let me teach biology now and then, which I would just as soon teach biology. It's what I thought I was going to teach. It's what I school taught for. What is a flipped classroom? It's where the teacher does, the homework is the lectures, and the class time now becomes teacher helping students. Which we said, we give them some information, then we send them home to do it by themselves, where there's nobody to help. And so what we've done is flip that. Most of the lectures are on tape or video or something, and the kids are supposed to listen to that at home, and that's a big supposed to. And instead, that when they're in the classroom, I'm standing there helping them do the work. And I can get one-on-one time with just about every kid, just about every day. Now typically it's 2-on-1 or 3-on-1, but we get there. And it lets them use a lot of different resources. It also lets the kids who are not really getting the message orally listen to it 3 times without anybody knowing they listened to it 3 times, which is a very face-saving way to do your learning, and a much safer, more comfortable way for many of these kids. So that kind of covers a lot of what it's good for. The advanced kids can kind of go off on their own little rabbit trails and say, this is interesting, and they can spend a day doing that, and they can spend a couple of days following up on some goofy scientist that they read about or whatever. And that increases their buy-in with it. The other thing is we get parents following, and I don't know about other schools, we have a heck of a time getting the parents to care that their kids are even in school. And if I can also haul the parents in and say, look, this is what your kid's doing. Did you see them watch the video last night? Maybe you should sit there with them and make sure they watch the video type of thing. It really gets a lot more parent involvement. Students can go back, and like even today I had a kid, okay, that was the last unit. I'm not reteaching it. You need to go listen to the podcast today. And you set them up and they get to listen to it while you watch that they do it. And again, kids can walk through, and until they get a concept, they don't have to admit they don't get it. They just have to watch the podcast again. Difficulties. You had better have, as a teacher, know exactly where you're going, because they will weasel, but you didn't say I had to learn that. Teachers really have to be far more organized than they would normally be, I think. And this is as a teacher, I know that. Students are a lot more independent, and not all high school students are ready for that level of independence. Some of them are really good at procrastinating. Video podcasts are not ideal, and I'm probably the chief person on that. I don't learn anything by listening very well. So I had to find other ways to help those kids. Internet access and MP4 players are helpful. That's nice if they have them. It's kind of a pain in the neck if they don't. And at a school that's a Title I school, over half of our kids have no internet access at home. So that has become a major challenge. Other big deals that can be showstoppers, you got to be able to get to a computer, at least at school. Non-engaged students, I don't know how to deal with those kids. If you've got suggestions, I'm open.
Can't fix that one.
I will say this has brought in, I have many fewer non-engaged students than I ever had before. I also have students asking for harder work. Can you help me find another worksheet? Could you find me some more sources? Yeah, I can do that. The only reason I've never had to do it before. The other thing, school administrators, and I'm talking to the administrators or wannabe administrators out here, this doesn't look like people sitting here and listening to me, and consequently when they walk in, we all know what school looks like. We did it for 12 to 15 or 20 years. And so, that's a problem. Labs are also a pain in the neck. Talk to me about that. What's good about it? Why am I still doing it? Because kids really buy into it. They like it. They like the power it gives them. There's a lot more engagement by a lot higher fraction. And I like that. I like having the kids be in charge of a great deal of what they're doing. For biggest problem, anybody here is a Moodle expert? I desperately need to set up a Moodle test bank. Because if you're going to be able to test kids repeatedly till they get it, I have a couple that gave me a bunch of the stuff I need. I just don't know how to use it. So please, if you have Moodle, know any Moodle expertise, I really need your help. And if you have suggestions on how to help make videos more accessible to kids who don't have computer access. That's our biggest stumbling block by far. This is what I give. I said I had to be organized. This is what our kids would have to learn in a typical unit. I have the entire year laid out this way. So at the beginning of each unit, there's what you gotta know. I'm done. Questions?
As a teacher, how do you find you're using your time differently in the class?
I am talking to kids one-on-one as they prompt the information. I give very few, let me tell you what you need to know. And only after I have the same question 37 times do I say, okay, by the way, guys, let's get this on the board. So the kids are in charge of the conversation instead of me. So I don't know what I'm doing every day.
So, Laura, imagine that I'm some Boulder entrepreneur who really wants to improve education and make life easier for teachers like you. What's the startup that you wish existed that would help you flip your classroom and make it more successful?
Ways to access good videos in a coordinated way, rather than me having to go fish.
Yep.
Do you create them too?
I've created them. That is not really a good use of my time. Yeah,
And
but I have done it, yes.
What do you think of Khan?
Yeah.
Khan is wonderful when it's on topic.
Yep.
The problem is, he doesn't teach the class I teach. And so that's my biggest issue, is laying hands on the appropriate resources. And then pulling them in. Oh, good. Okay, pick somebody. Who yells loudest?
Is there a contrast created by those kids who have actually done the lectures versus those who don't?
Oh, yeah,
Those
it's
who
real
did not do it?
obvious.
How do you?
Yeah. How do
Deal
I
with
deal
that
with that?
chaos.
I have 3 computers in the back of the room, one of which is my personal laptop.
Uh-huh.
And I basically say, go. Go. And now I know they've seen the lectures because I've listened to them do it.
Some gentlemen some science teachers out of Woodland Park, Colorado.
I've taken their classes,
Okay.
and I've worked with both Mr. Bergman and Sam.
Yeah, they really
Yes.
do kind of create an edutainment, you know, I've seen.
Yeah, I'm
some
not
of
as
it.
creative as they are, but they have a lot of bad jokes. I have taken, now we all science teachers do. But I have taken, I've worked with them one-on-one.
On that.
Okay, over here.
So it sounds like the model is, you know, it's still, it's lecture-based. Do you do any project-based?
We do a huge number of project-based. The problem is, most kids don't come into a chemistry classroom knowing enough to be safe. I had a kid try to do a wonderful series of thermal heat values, and he tried to set fire to some gasoline. So I wind up having to narrow their focus a lot to be safe at a beginning chemistry level, which is where most of my students are. My IBers, I can let them do more.
Is there any money available, or is there talk about money being available for home internet or?
Yeah.
Zero.
Let me jump in. Yeah. So there's a program called Internet Essentials. Comcast and CBeyond are both doing it. Families who are free lunch, so 80% of your students are
Awesome.
free reduced, but they have to be free lunch. They can get $10 a month internet and $150 netbook.
As long as they have never subscribed to the TV on Comcast.
Really?
Subscribe to the TV on Comcast, you're not eligible for that.
Thank you, Comcast, for making something that seems like a good idea into a terrible idea.
First of all, quickly, how long have you been doing flipped classroom?
I am in my 3rd year.
Okay, so the
Of this.
question is, obviously a lot of the good points have to do with the empowerment of the students. How they're
Absolutely.
asking for it. How is the retention of knowledge in a flipped classroom versus the traditional?
I would say it's better
Yeah.
because you all know very well, you sit here and you can listen to me, and by the time you go at home and get ready for bed tonight, you're going to have forgotten most of what I said. But if you've had to go actively find that information and make your own organized notes around it or have a conversation with me about it to prove you did it, you're going to remember it better.
Right.
And so I really think the kids do a better job with it.
So do you feel that, just follow up question, do you feel that this might help more when it comes to dealing with standardized testing? The students might, because it's not necessarily geared towards testing and the retention is in a different method, do you feel that it might work better?
I think it might work better, especially if I taught towards standardized testing.
Well, yeah, just quickly, so like the research on that's showing when the kind of learning that's going on, that deep learning in very specific areas, your standardized test scores go up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
without
Learning to
getting
think on your own and to take information and synthesize the key points from it, I think that applies to everything. And I think the kids do more of it when they're in charge. Then if you can listen to me and wait for me to tell you the answer, you will. I will.
How long are the podcasts typically? 'Cause this could
3
be
to
a
5
solution
minutes.
to the whole homework issue. that
3 to
really
5 minutes. It
surfaces.
probably takes them, if they're gonna do a good job with it, it's 15. But 3 to 5 minutes to sit and listen to it fairly passively.